All right, here's the pitch and the intro. Guys, there's my email address, ken@empowermac.com. You can also call. We're helping to do the email transition for MacNexus also. So if you were going to be doing the forwarding, which we discussed last class, you can go ahead and shoot me an email. I'm also on the MacNexus board, and my email is on the MacNexus site. That's Pete. He does a lot of our classes. Lisa's our angel. She's our administrative assistant, and I'm kind of the nuts and bolts guy. I can come out and I can do both hardware and software on your computer. I can install things. I'm doing a lot of Apple TV installations now. I think Apple TV, we're going to find out on Monday, there's probably going to be some more things with Apple TV. We can also do screen share, which is really nice. For MacNexus, we've been using TeamViewer, and we can also use iChat, which allows someone to log into your computer with your permission and view your screen and work with you on your screen. And it's a really great way to do it, and saves having to drive back and forth. And instead of when I come to somebody's house and they've got a laundry list of 30 things, you address those things as you go along through the way, and it works out really well. We know everybody's been there. We're going to try to relieve this bit of computer frustration, and that's we've all been there, right? Even though it's a Mac, it still does that a bit. So today I'm going to go over Address Book and iCal, and in the first I'm going to do Address Book. So I'm going to go to my notes to make sure I cover everything. Address Book is the icon on the dock. Now, who here is not using Address Book at this point? And what are you using? Entourage or Outlook, Entourage? Just using like a browser, and then who do you use for your email?
You.
Oh, MacNexus. But then are your addresses stored anywhere?
I had a crash and lost them all, so I just crashed.
Okay. Well, that'll be another great thing with this.
As they come in,
with this new cloud service, it'll be great because you can save it up there. And I'll also explain, I'm a big proponent of MobileMe, and we think MobileMe is what's going to merge into iCloud. And I'm a huge proponent of it, but I'm also going to tell you today how you can take your address book and sync it with a free Google or even with a Yahoo account. Your address book can sync. So in other words, it will stay on the cloud. So if you lose that, you haven't lost it because you can always bring them down from the cloud. All right. Address Book is on the dock. So everybody's pretty much using Address Book. I'm going to hopefully give you some tricks, and I probably don't have all of them, so feel free to help me out if you have any that I miss. First and foremost, most of the Apple products are designed very similar. If you have iPhoto, you add albums. If you have iTunes, you add playlists. Well, in Address Book, you can add contacts. And that's on the middle column right here. And I'll zoom in. The little plus sign in the middle column allows you to add a contact. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, and it starts up there. Now you'll see first is behind the scenes. So it's saying we want the first name. So we'll just call this Mac, and his last name is Nexus. And I'm using the tab key to go to each one. Now, let's put in a company name. And again, you don't have to, but this helps if you have multiple people at a company. We can say this is Apple.com. Apple. So then I tab down, and I want to put in a phone number. In this case, it would be home. It doesn't matter because we can change home to iPhone, mobile, main, home phone, fax. And I will point out that if you are writing in for someone that has an iPhone and you have an iPhone, I recommend you put iPhone here because there's some features iPhone to iPhone that are already available, like FaceTime, but there's going to be more features to it. So rather than just saying mobile, you might want to select iPhone. In this case, we'll just say it's a work number. So then it says work. And now I'm going to just start typing the number, 916-555-1212. I'm not putting any punctuation in. I hate putting punctuation in for the phone number because when I hit that, it punctuates it automatically. Okay? So you can go... I just hit tab to go to the next field. It automatically, you can change it if you prefer the parentheses. The default is dash dash, which is pretty much what the defaults are now. So in an email, we'll go to demo@MacNexus.org. And birthday won't be on yours. I'm going to show you how to activate birthday in a minute. We'll just give it the birthday of the iPhone, which was 6/29/2007. Yes, I know that. AIM name was, well, I stood in line that day, so it's memorable. This would be an iChat name if someone has iChat. That's where you would put it. We can deal with iChat. We're going to have another session about iChat. But I'm going to put on here 123 Main Street, Sacramento. Uh, 95825. I actually need to see if I put my own. Oh, good. Okay. So that's MacNexus. Now, you'll notice that MacNexus is the name, and it's displayed by name over here. But let's say that I don't really care what the person's name is. I want it to display the company. So if I select company, you'll notice on this side it went to company. So it will display whichever one you want, either company or someone's name. All right. Now, since we're talking about display, actually we'll finish this and then I'll talk more about display order. Down here in notes, oh, by the way, now when I'm done, I can click this little edit button down here that you'll see is kind of bluish. If I click it, it turns off edit mode, and I'm back to where my address book is uneditable. Notes, though, at any time you can add notes. You don't have to go into edit mode. Notes are great for last called on such and such a date. They're expecting a child on such and such a date. You can do things like that you can put in here just so you can remember. And it gets saved with everything else in address book. So we've made a contact now. But I told you that birthday wasn't here normally. So let's show how to change what's called the template. I don't know why Apple calls it this, but we go into Preferences, and in Preferences there's this tab called Template. And in Template we can add a field. So let's say you wanted, well, let's go to Dates. I'm going to activate Dates. So now it's activated. You'll see down here it says Dates. So I'm going to go ahead and close this template. And now you'll notice when I hit edit, not only do I have birthday, but I have dates. It could be anniversary, or any of these pull down fields can be customized. So in this case we could say iPhone launch, which would be the same date we already have up there. But that is now what the name of that field is. Any of these can be customized. You could change work to second home if they have a house up in Tahoe or something. Now that's the email address, but either way, you can customize all of these. And once it's customized in one, if I go to a different one, say here Ken Spencer, I now have the ability to go to oh, I thought second home would show up. Hang on. Oh, it didn't. I'm sorry. It's for each individual one. But you can, it is, as you start typing it in custom, it'll fill it out if it already has one. So we can customize the template by going into Address Book, coming down to Preferences, clicking on Template, and you have to say Add Field. Each of these is a field. You have an address field, you have a phone field, date field. You can't add another notes field. So from there, you still have, go ahead.
Does that then populate everybody in your address book or just that particular one?
The field is available and it's always in there, but if there's no data in it, it doesn't show up. But when you go to edit your card, a great point. So let's add phonetic, let's add maiden name. Okay, so I'm going to show. That was a great question. So when I close my edit, I have no other difference here, right? And the anniversary doesn't show up, does it? But if I go on to my MacNexus, oh, I didn't fill in an anniversary, so never mind. Let's go back to mine. So it doesn't show up. Now if I hit edit, you'll notice maiden name is a field that's available to put data into it. But Apple makes it really clean. They don't show the field unless you have something in the field. And obviously you can't add anything to the field until you click edit. So it's there and available. So when you add items, add fields to the template, you're simply making it available. So realistically, you could go in and add any of the ones you think you can use and just have them in there. Good question.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How do you add a couple's name? John and Jane Smith, is it the best way?
That's a really good question. There's not an easy answer because...
What was the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, if you have a couple, how do you do that? You know, John and Jane Smith. There's a couple ways to do it, and it kind of depends on how you're going to use it. But if we go, I'm going to go back and add, in my particular field right here, one easy way to do it is, generally speaking, you'll have, let's say the mail all goes to Jane and she's the one that's made contact, but you want to show that Bob is her husband or spouse, or in many cases you might want to list the kid's name. If you'll notice in edit, I have down here two fields. Can everybody see where my screen is? I can say friend, spouse, partner, assistant, manager, etc. And you can put it there. Let's say sister. So you want to remember the sister of Jane was Sue. Okay. And you have a second one here that you can do as many as you want. And that brings up another good thing. Let's say I want to add the assistant is Friday. Girl Friday is the... Okay, then I want to hit the plus sign to add another one. And this can go ad infinitum. So this, let's say John is the father. Here, mother. I mean, and you can pick each one of these. So you can go on as long as you want. Now, to answer your question directly on, we all know how it is when you do a Christmas card list. You want it to go either to the family or Bob and, I forget who had, Bob and Jane Smith or whatever it was. The trick to that is going in and you can make them a company and display the company name. So in this case it was Ken Spencer, but let's say I want to say I'm not married, but if I was, that's who it would be. So there would be the company name. And when you print envelopes or address labels, you can say print the company. But for the most part, you just want to have one record. This is better than having a record for both Ken and Mary. Okay? So if you trick it, you can have it print that, and that's how you get around it. Or it could be the Spencer family or the Smith family there, but you still want to have the contact of the person. And then it's a little workaround, but it works. But again, remember, if it's just for a matter of reference, you can put all that information down here in the additional persons field is what I like to call that. Okay?
What's wrong with just putting Ken and Mary up where you just have Ken?
Nothing at all, and you can. So then my recommendation there is put Ken and Mary in the first name, and then the last name in there. The one I was getting to is more how when people put the family or the Spencer family, things like that. Then you can use it either way. Most people, it's one of those things where just remember now that we sync this with our cell phones and everything else, it's how you want to display. And I'm going to talk about display order in just a second. But you had a question?
Okay. If we unmarry you.
That's easy to do since I'm not married.
And you're going to print out your Christmas card list.
Okay.
And you tell it to print the company name.
Right.
If there's no company name, does it print the name field?
Good question. And you can tell it to. The only problem I found is because Address Book is not one of these big contact relationship managers, sometimes if you tell it to do